Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Zamas podcast, where we focus on
faith,
family,
fitness,
finances,
and
friendships.
friendships. And of course, we're going to start our podcast off with our scripture. And my husband's going to start with that, so you can go ahead.
Fantabulous. So we're going to be reading from Psalms 103, verses 13 through 18. All right. So if you have a Bible, follow along. If you do not, we will put the verse of scripture above our heads. All right. So it reads, "As a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. For he knows how we are formed. He remembers that we are dust. The life of mortals is like grass. They flourish like a flower of the field. The wind blows over it, and it is gone, and its place remembers it no more. But from everlasting to everlasting, the Lord's love is with those who fear him, and his righteousness with their children's children, with those who keep his covenant and remember to obey his precepts." Awesome. So we chose this verse of scripture because obviously Father's Day is coming up. We're going to be releasing this episode the week of Father's Day. So we wanted to spend some time focusing on fathers and, discussing the benefits of fatherhood and, what it is to be a father and shed some light on fatherhood. We don't get any love on Father's Day. Okay. Mother's Day, it's like a whole ordeal. Yeah, like everybody knows it is Mother's Day. It's really like a holiday. Okay. But Father's Day, it's we get a section in the back of the store. We may get some cards, maybe some balloons, but people don't spend too much time on Father's Day, which I understand, kind of. So this is what this episode is going to consist of. But in addition to that, we have this game here called Let's Get Deep that my wife and I are going to answer some questions from per request from our subscribers and friends.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ahead and start with this, and then we'll get into, our main topic. Okay.
Right. This is like we always want to start off with the icebreaker, which is why we do bring in questions, whether it's questions from supporters or questions from the cards that we have. So each week, you guys just make sure that you're commenting down below, whether you're listening on Podcaster, Spotify, YouTube, or one of our social media platforms, which will be above our heads. Make sure that you guys follow us on all those platforms because that's where we'll be asking our questions. That's when we'll be actually interacting with everybody. But yeah, that's just to explain this. So which one you want to do first, Ben?
Wait, we got to explain the game.
Okay, so basically the game is the questions are deep, deeper, and icebreaker. So we're gonna choose one from each category and just answer it, and that's basically it. Like it's basically you just answering questions. So
Awesome.
you want to start with deeper since I already have this pal out.
Well, we're going to start out with icebreaker.
Okay, it do make sense to start with icebreaker. Okay, guys, so we have our 3 questions. I'm gonna ask him first, and then we're basically both gonna answer the question. So we're gonna start off with the icebreaker. And what was your first job?
My first job was Publix supermarkets. Okay, shout out to Publix. I learned a lot there. I started when I was 15 years old, and I worked there all the way up until I was 22, and then I retired. What about you? What was your first job?
My first job, I was actually an entrepreneur. I was braiding hair when I was 13.
But your actual first job?
First job was voluntary work for the Boys and Girls Club. In the summertime, I worked there to help with their snacks, help the kids with their homework. That was my first technical job.
They paid you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Okay, so that's the icebreaker. Well, that's her icebreaker. I'm gonna read mine as well. So my icebreaker says, "What is your favorite place you visited?" Ooh.
Our last vacation, Disney. The resort was fire. It was like a house and the jacuzzi.
Shout out to Madre.
Yeah, best ever.
Yeah. Okay, favorite place I visited. I'm gonna have to say the Bahamas when I went on that cruise in 2016, I believe it was. 2016. Went on the cruise. Really, it wasn't Bahamas. That was my favorite. It was the cruise, but we went to Bahamas. Okay, but the cruise was fantabulous. Okay.
Very good. Okay, deep. If your house was burning down and you could only save one item, what would it be and why?
Okay, one item. Okay, so assuming we got to put it in context. Okay, so assuming that okay, so assuming that I have my phone in my pocket in my wallet, um, I would save a painting that was given to me for Christmas by my brother-in-law. Yeah, yeah,
That's a dope painting.
absolutely fire. I absolutely love it. It means a lot to me. First of all, that movie is one of my favorite movies.
And it
Um,
ties into our podcast
it
right
ties into
now.
our podcast. Yes, it does. It ties into our life,
Fatherhood.
right? It ties into life. Period. But yeah, it definitely means a lot to me. So I would save that. What about you?
I'm a mom, so I'm saving the picture book that has like Noah's footprints in it, like stuff I written down,
Ah,
like her growing up and stuff like that,
that's a
with the
good one.
assumption that I already have my phone in my wallet.
Okay, that's a good one. Well,
So you're gonna have to grab both our paintings since you grabbing paintings.
it says one item.
Okay, well, we are one, so
Okay,
that's
okay,
one plus one. That equals one.
okay. No problem. No problem. I like that math. Okay, so all right. So here's my deep question. It says, wait. Oh yeah, that's me. Okay, so what is your most prized possession and why?
My ring and my necklace. And why my ring? Because it represents my husband, me and my husband. Yeah. So when I'm not with him, I just be looking at it like, I'm a wifey. I got a man. I got a man. And then my necklace, it represents my daughters. Like they mean everything to me. So I always have either my ring, not either. I always have both of them on. I always have my necklace on. I always have my ring on because it's important to me. So,
Good stuff.
and
Good
what's
stuff.
yours? What is your most
My
prized
most
possession and
prized
why?
possession. What is my most prized possession?
I don't know. You tell us.
My most prized possession. Um. Wow, that's a really good question. My most prized possession. So yeah, so my most prized possession is my iPad. Yeah, yeah. A lot of work gets done on my iPad. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to say my iPad.
Okay, very good. And last one is deeper. What's a decision you made that you wish you could redo?
Ooh,
Mm.
a decision I made that I wish I can redo. Mm, I would have to say this financial tip. I would have to say withdrawing my 401k from Publix and not withholding taxes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was not a smart decision. Um, at that time, I didn't have any financial guidance. Um, yeah, I wouldn't do that again. Yeah, it happened for a reason, but I wouldn't do that again.
Lesson
So,
learned.
yeah, lesson learned for sure, for sure. What about you? Hold on, let me read it to you. What's
Okay.
a decision you've made that you wish you could redo?
Um, decision I made. I would have to say not saving money when I was young and didn't necessarily have a whole bunch of bills.
Mm,
But that is like still like finicky because I was young and on my own taking care of myself. So I
right,
did have bills and the money that I was spending went towards bills and I'm
right,
like young, so I'm like I don't want to not live life because at the age of 19 and 20 I'm having to save so strictly
right.
that I'm like not enjoying my adulthood.
Yours is
So
financial as well.
both of us are
Okay,
financial.
good
Like,
stuff.
yeah.
Good stuff. Okay. All right, and deeper. Here's our last one. It says, "Where is the one place you want to go before you die, and why?"
Uh, Andra.
That's Spanish for all of you
Yeah, I
that don't
speak
know.
Spanish, but it's like my own version of Spanish. So y'all
Yeah,
gonna hear that through the podcast.
yeah. Bless
Take it
it.
up with your mama, not me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. So I would have to say Dubai. Only because like that's not a major like, oh, you gotta save forever. Like Dubai isn't super expensive. We just haven't planned
It
it.
is though.
But huh?
It is.
The tickets are
The,
expensive, but once you get
no, no,
there,
no. The tickets are the cheapest part. Like getting there, everything in Dubai is expensive.
okay, well, no. Dubai, because I'm a romantic and just the scenery and the attractions there, it just screams romance and I just want that and the food that they have there. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Where is the one place you want to go before you die and why?
The one place I want to go before I die and why? I would have to say, hmm, okay, I'm stuck.
Uh-uh.
I am kind of stuck because okay, Switzerland.
I knew it.
Switzerland is definitely number one.
Well, you only get one place. It says
Oh,
one
oh
place
yeah, I
before
only
you
get one
die.
place. Okay. Okay, Switzerland. Switzerland.
And
I would
why?
like to go to Switzerland. It's absolutely beautiful. If y'all haven't seen any pictures of Switzerland or any videos of Switzerland,
Look it up.
yeah, go to YouTube, um, or even go on Instagram, right? And there's a lot of pages that have like, you know, videos of Switzerland. It's beautiful, right? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of greenery. I love nature, right? So like mountains and greenery and all that is beautiful to me. The waterfalls. Yeah, it's just beautiful. It's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful place. It looks
And
like a
clean.
yeah, clean. It looks like a utopia.
It
It,
literally is
it
labeled a utopia, though.
yeah, it looks fake. It doesn't even look real.
Yeah.
So I want to go to Switzerland. That has to be my place
I
that I
want
need to
to
go
go to
to
Switzerland.
before we die.
Yeah. Okay, so we're done with our questions, and I'm going to ask him a question just based off of our podcast topic,
Oh,
which is fatherhood and manhood, and we're gonna of course share from both perspectives. So the question for you, you ready?
I'm ready. I was born ready.
Boom. What does fatherhood mean to you?
Mm. Let me go with the cliche answer. Everything.
Yeah.
It is a responsibility that I don't take lightly. Um, Being a father, becoming a father, has been one of the most rewarding things that has ever happened to me. It's a true blessing. It's an honor, um, and I absolutely love it. I love the responsibility. You know, I love it. It forces you to grow.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be a good father, it forces you to grow. So that would be
Okay.
my answer.
Very good. Okay, so do you think that not having your father in your life affected your role in the way that you parent, in the way that you take
Big time.
fatherhood?
Big time. Big
So
time.
do you
Yeah.
think it impacted you negatively or positive?
Yeah, big time. So, and I'm glad you mentioned that, babe, because for all of you that don't know, my father wasn't my biological father was not in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
That's what I should have said. The
uh,
verbiage, biological father.
yeah, so my biological father was not in my life, um, and I don't want anybody to think that they have an excuse of why they can't be a present and good father
Mm-hmm.
because their biological father wasn't in their life. That's not an excuse. All right, you're a grown man, and you know, responsibility is something that you have to embrace if you want to be a good father, or if you want to consider yourself a man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Definition of a man is, you know, taking responsibility. Right? It's
Right.
being responsible. So, to answer your question, my biological father not being in my life, did that impact the way I father?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, it did. I've been wanting to be a father since about 14, 15 years old.
Jesus.
Yeah, believe it or not. You guys remember people that know me from when I was younger. I used to always talk about having children and starting a family. This is something I desired, since I knew what being a parent was or being a father was. I just always desired it. And I think The reason I desired it so much was because, uh, you know, past perceived voids become future pursued values,
Mm.
right? So the fact that my biological father was not in my life made me value the responsibility of becoming a father and really wanting to take on that role and just embrace it and do everything that I can to be the best father I can be. So that's a nugget, right? Past perceived voids become future pursued values. All right. And what was the second part to the question?
It was like affect the way you parent or
Oh, you
affect
said did it
your
affect me positively or negatively?
yeah.
I believe it affected me positively. Um, I'm a very positive person in
Mm-hmm.
general, but I believe not having my biological father in my life affected me in a positive way. And the reason being is because, again, it just made me place a value on fatherhood and the importance of family. It made me place a value on that because I didn't necessarily have it,
Mm.
right? So, when you don't have something, you tend to want it, right? That's
Yeah.
just,
Search for it.
yeah, that's just the nature of it, that's the nature of life. Oftentimes, when you don't have something, you tend to want it. So, yeah, it affected me in a positive way. And it made me want to have children and have a family, when the timing was right. And, you know, when I met you,
Mm-hmm.
the timing was right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Happened
yeah.
quick. Um, just to like piggyback off of what you said, I think when it comes to fatherhood, you have to want it. And the only reason why I say that is because with motherhood, it's natural. For most women, it's natural for us to automatically go into that role because the your child is growing inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to feel that nurturing, that love. You get to experience that from literally within, like inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's natural when you have the baby. Like it's like I don't know how to describe it, but like as soon as that baby comes out,
Mm-hmm.
it's a ray of emotion and
Yeah,
an instant thing to take care of that baby.
yeah,
Like just
yeah.
from our experience, we had two C-sections. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had two C-sections, and even with that, my mindset wasn't on pain at all. Even though
Mm.
my body was experiencing pain,
Extreme pain.
my body wasn't allowing me, my mind wasn't allowing me to focus on that. My
Right.
only focus was on if they were okay
Mm-hmm.
and to feed and to nurse them like naturally.
That's
Not
powerful.
knowing anything about it, I
Yeah.
naturally went into that. But with fatherhood, it's a thing that has to be taught, taught in most cases, and you have to learn and you have to accept the role.
Yeah.
Like
For
God,
sure.
I feel like God gives men the option to accept it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why it's so many absent parents, absent fathers, I should say, and
Yeah.
so many. The reason why Father Day isn't celebrated as much
Mm-hmm.
because many men choose to not be a father.
Yeah.
And to be a dad and to be a present father is two different things.
Yeah.
Like to
Absolutely.
me personally, I feel like I had a dad, I didn't have a father.
Mm.
And a lot of things played in that role. He chose to step into fatherhood,
Mm-hmm.
but not 100%.
Right.
Like it was based on stipulations
Mm-hmm.
and it was based on how fatherhood was explained and taught to him
Mm.
in a religious aspect.
Yeah.
But what people don't realize is that the religious aspect does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
Your job, the role that God gives you as a father is to be a father.
Yeah.
Like, and God is a father to all of us.
Absolutely.
So that is loving unconditionally, to teach, to be the example, to provide, to protect.
Mm-hmm.
All of that in a nutshell. I mean, a nutshell. That's what fatherhood is. So
Yeah.
like, he accepted the role of fatherhood at a young age. Like
Yeah.
at 14, there's no man, there's 45, a man that's 45 years old that's still telling us, oh, I'm not ready to have kids. Well,
Yeah.
sorry, you're never going to be ready to have kids
Right.
because you have to accept it and you have to own it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I don't think anybody's ever ready to have kids until they have kids, right? Because you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go back to what you said because I think it's extremely important. In ancient Jewish wisdom, I love ancient Jewish wisdom because it's that like
It's a
it's
foundation to a
yeah,
lot of things.
yeah, it's just phenomenal. But in ancient Jewish wisdom, they teach that they have something known as a bar mitzvah for young boys that are turning into young men. So at the age of 11, on their birthday, they're turning 12 years old. They have a bar mitzvah, and a bar mitzvah is not just some party where they come and give you money. A bar mitzvah is actually a
Celebration of
it's a
manhood.
yeah, it's a celebration, but it's also a initiation into manhood, right? So what the Jews do is they explain to the 12-year-old or now turning 12-year-old that, hey, up until this point you've been a little boy, right? And now you're turning 12 years old, you need to step into that role of manhood.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful part about it is, in ancient Jewish wisdom, they teach little boys how to become a man, right? And how to embrace responsibility and not run from it. And they teach what responsibility is and the role of being a man and the role of eventually becoming a father.
Mm-hmm.
Now, also in ancient Jewish wisdom, there is no celebration for women, right?
Yeah.
Because women automatically become women, or little girls automatically become women, right? Little boys don't automatically become men.
Have to be
They have to be
trained into it.
trained and nurtured into a man, right? Which is why they have that celebration and that initiation service.
Mm-hmm.
So if a little boy is never trained and nurtured on how to be a man and what a man is and
Mm-hmm.
what a father is, then eventually they continue on their life, right? And they become 30 or 40-year-old adolescents, right? They become 30 or 40-year-old little boys,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because they were never taught. Now, it's not to give them an excuse, but it's, if somebody isn't there to explain to you what your role is as a man or as a father, it's a little bit more challenging to, continue on your life and, just learn these responsibilities as you go,
Yeah.
unless you have some people that are, in your circle, or in your family that embrace you and teach you. Okay, so for me, my personal experience was I was able to learn from a lot of people's mistakes. Me being the youngest child, I was able to watch from a distance
Mm-hmm.
and learn from other people's mistakes,
Yeah.
right? And really learn what not to do, mostly. And the beautiful part about life is, if you learn what not to do, it's easier for you to do the things that you're supposed to do,
Yeah.
right? So ridding yourself of negative people or any negative things really helps you progress on a path towards positivity or on a path towards doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And that has really served me well in my life. So I didn't necessarily have a lot of men in my life that were like positive influences or really good representations of what a man is or what a father is. I didn't necessarily have that, but I seen it from a distance, and I was always surrounding myself or listening to information
Yeah.
from people that I
The few male figures that you did have in your life.
yeah, the male figures that I thought were good fathers or displayed good fatherhood or manhood. I was able to learn from those people, and then the men that were in my life, I was able to learn more so what not to do. And I learned some things of what to do as well, right? Because everybody has good qualities and bad qualities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I more so learned what to do from you know distant mentors, and
Yeah.
then what not to do from family members or close friends. So yeah.
Yeah. And I also feel like you have to want to be a father or want to be a mother as well. Like,
Yeah.
and the way that this awesome universe works is the fact that people are placed in our life to give us that example of what to do and
Hmm.
what not to do.
Absolutely.
And it's your role to accept that. And that
Yeah.
goes with everything. Like
Mhm.
it's certain people that are placed in your life to either be a blessing or a lesson.
Mhm. Yeah.
And regardless of how people try to put a negative spin on that, it's a part of life. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to learn from those certain things.
Yeah.
So when it comes to fatherhood, it's several people coming to you telling you that you need to work on your anger issues, but you're refusing that information. You're refusing the examples that are set before you, that of men that don't operate in anger or
Right.
women that don't operate like that,
Mhm.
and you're just turning a blind eye.
Yes.
And I feel like most of the time, especially with fatherhood, the stories that you hear, oh, I never had a dad, no one taught me how to do this, blah, blah, blah. But there was people that were sent in your life that you're supposed to learn, that you're supposed to grow from, that were supposed to pour into you, and you ignored it.
Yeah.
And that's with everything.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, the podcast is dedicated towards fathers, but we're a podcast, so we're gonna put it in every aspect.
Yeah.
Like that's for also life lessons too. Like if certain people are coming to you and telling you the exact same thing, and you're just like, oh well, I'll work on it one day, I'll do this one day,
Right.
and you're never doing it.
Right.
You have people before you that's doing it.
Mhm.
And I would like to say, just age does not matter.
No, it
Like we
doesn't.
mentioned you mentioned our last podcast, like
Yeah.
I learned from a toddler, we learn from our daughter that's 3 all the time.
All the
We
time.
learn from
Every
our
day.
11-month baby all the time. We
Yeah.
learn from whatever. Like
Mhm.
don't be closed minded to learning and receiving information from anybody. Like we're young, but like the experience, the knowledge, and the wisdom that we have is well aged.
Yeah.
Like
For sure.
so like listen to the podcast and just listen to everyone with an open heart and with an open mind, because you can't receive what you're supposed to receive if you're closed minded, or if you're still in the mindset of, oh well, this happened to me as a child, so I can't do this, or I'm so traumatized that I can't do this, and I'm exhausted from this because this happened to me. So what?
Right.
So what?
Right.
Learn from it, grow from it, do the work, and move accordingly. Like
take the best and leave the rest, right?
That's
we got
it.
people that come into our lives, like you said, babe, people that come in as lessons, and people that come in as blessings, right? So, you're gonna get a bunch of different advice, a bunch of different people that come into your life and try to navigate you or tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
But you take the best and leave the rest, right? We all have, that internal man or internal woman, known as our spirit, right? Which will guide us on the right path of, what makes sense for us and what's right for us. So you take the best and leave the rest, right? And you try to do your best to surround yourself with the right people, with the right examples, so that you can receive the proper guidance and information and advice, to help you on your journey, right? We're all on this journey together. We're all trying to learn. We're all trying to get better, or should be all trying to learn and trying to get better. And I say it all the time: if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
Right. So the people that are stuck in the past and stuck on, things that may have happened to them, or, mistakes that they've made, or, who they may have been in the past. Listen, that's in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's who you were in the past, all right, brush it off. That's not who I am today. Right.
Do the self-work.
Those are the decisions that you made in the past. All right, I made those decisions. I understand that they were wrong. Moving forward, I'm not going to do it again. Right. And continue to do the work, working on yourself, so that you can grow into a great mother, right, or a great father, or a great person, right, and really serve the world, the way we're supposed to serve the world.
Yeah, I feel that. Like what you went through in the past is either going to push you into who you're supposed to be in this world, or it's either going to hinder you and hold you back because you're in denial that you need to work on yourself. Like just personally speaking, I can say for absolute fact that no one that is actually surrounded by me has been through not even a portion of what I've been through.
That's a fact.
In my life.
That's a fact.
I didn't have a mother figure growing up. Like I really didn't. Like for those that don't know, like my actual biological mom, she actually was a drug addict. my really entire childhood. I was abused by her. A lot of stuff that was just like traumatizing to go through as a child, and then growing up and turn over to being with my dad, I was put into a position to where it was 50-50. She showed me motherhood in an aspect, and she also didn't show me motherhood in an aspect. But
talking about your stepmom.
Yeah, so regardless of both of those situations, all of it being traumatized from going to physically and mentally, then to going to mentally and spiritually being abused and neglected. I didn't have an example on really any aspect of how to be a true mother, but I knew in my heart that God, please heal me, please let me do the work, because when I do have a child, I don't want that. Absolutely. I don't want to be a mother and say, I'm exhausted. I don't have this to give to my kids. I don't know how to do this. No, I'm gonna figure it out, but I'm gonna figure it out within myself, because what you went through in your past, it affects you 100% if you do not do the work. Like if you don't feed your spirit, man, if you don't really work on what you need to work on, it's gonna affect you. So like the same with fatherhood, like if you don't do that work, if you don't work on yourself, then it's going to affect you. But that's with anything, whether you're a mom or a dad, or whether you're just single out here living and breathing. You have to do that work. You have to put in that work. You have to want it, and you have to stop making excuses. Because one thing the man upstairs is going to do, he's going to send people around you to speak into you, to be the example that you saying that you want. And after a certain time, if you're not picking that up, oh, I fell out with this person. That person no longer around. Why? Because the knowledge and the wisdom and what you were supposed to learn from that person, like I said, whether it's a blessing or a lesson, you didn't do it. Right. So you see certain people, it's a certain cycle. Until you break that cycle, until you do what you're supposed to do, until you learn what you're supposed to learn in that season or whatever the situation may be, it's going to continue to happen. Yeah. That's why you hear older people. So, like I was speaking to a lady talking about she has been experiencing death every single year since she was born. It's a cycle. Yeah. That's a cycle in your family that's happening. So
yeah. And one thing about life is going to give you the same test over and over again until you pass it. Right. So, I saw a post the other day on Instagram from Morgan Freeman, and he asked the young lady, he was being interviewed, and he asked the young lady, he said, if you pray and ask God for patience, do you think God gives you patience? Or do you think God gives you opportunities to be patient? Yeah. Right, that's so powerful, right? If you pray and ask God for, a forgiving heart, right? Do you think God is going to give you a forgiving heart, or you think God is going to give you opportunities to forgive people? Yeah. Right? Really think about it, right? God gives you the ingredients. He doesn't put it all together for you, right? He's going to give you the gift, but you got to unwrap it. All right, so it's a process. God is going to do his part, but you got to do your part. And your part is doing the work. Your part is growing, right? Your part is surrounding yourself with the right people, right? Being consistent, listening to the right information, right? Feeding your spirit man or your spirit woman, right? That's our part here on this earth. Yeah. Okay. So we understand. We don't want to minimize, what anyone has been through in their life. Because it is significant, right? It plays a part in who you are, right? It does shape your identity, but we do have to differentiate, contributing factors from determining factors. So contributing factors are things that we may have been through in our life, which contribute to, how we think and who we are and how we respond to other people. But determining factors are much more important, and determining factors are all internal. Right. So these are things like, your character, your will, your persistence, your tenacity. All of these things are internal. Right. So determining factors are ultimately what's going to, help propel you and get you to where you want to get to, or help you grow as an individual. So we can't mistake, um, we can't mistake contributing factors for determining factors, right? We got to make sure that we differentiate the two. Okay, so although there may have been things that have gone on in your life, that were significant, right? Maybe they were traumatic, and they did, they do cause you to respond a certain way or cause you to act a certain way. um, that's not the end, right? You can change. You're not a tree.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the beautiful part about being a human, is you can change. All right, you can see that your behavior or what you're doing now is not serving you, or how you're responding or how you're acting now isn't serving you.
Yeah.
You can take that and digest it and say, hey, listen, I'm no longer going to be this way. Now I want to do this, right? I want to live this way in my life, because I know this is going to better serve me. So my wife, as she said to you all, she has been through a lot in her life. But I wanted to say this on camera.
Yeah.
She is a phenomenal mother. Okay. And you would
Mhm.
never know. She doesn't look like what she's been through, right? You would never know that she's been through what she's been through because of how she treats our children. The love that she has for people, her heart for people is like, it's second to none, right?
Thank
But you would never know that, right? You guys probably, her story, right? You never would know that she's been through what she's been through because of how she treats people. But that was a decision that she made,
you.
right?
Yeah.
She didn't allow contributing factors to be determining factors. She didn't say, well, I've been through this and that. My mother was on drugs. I didn't necessarily have, all the support growing up. She didn't allow those things to determine who she was going to be and how she was going to respond to life,
Yeah.
right? She still approaches life in a positive way, and she treats people with respect and with love. And when it comes to being a mom, um, top tier.
Mm.
Okay, top tier.
Thank you,
All
babe.
right, so I love you, bro. I just
Love you
wanted to say that
too.
on the film.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you. I give
so
you kissy
we
kissy.
did you have anything that you wanted to say?
Yeah, from what you said about like you're not a tree, but I think like that's a good representation of people and what we're talking about, because whenever they're trying to uproot a tree, you have to get it from the root, and you have to go deep
Yeah,
to get a tree from its root.
absolutely.
But in every season, a tree changes.
Mm-hmm.
A tree does change. Like, so, certain seasons, certain times in your life, especially if you've been through stuff that is traumatic, that has affected you in your life, it's seasons that you're gonna go through that has you thinking about it, has you triggered by certain things. You have to make that decision to come out of that. You have to make that decision to choose to be a parent every single day, and choose to be a father every single day, choose to be a mother every single day, choose to be a better person every single day. Like, it doesn't come easy. You don't do self work for a year and then be like, all right, I'm all better, I'm all. It's a constant thing. You wake up every single day, you choose to do it. Now, like you said, like, it's not like we're trying to, devalue the fact that what you may have went through in your life is not traumatic, but we're also not pacifying it to the point to where you're still singing the same old song. Like, I know a lot of people that say the exact same thing. Oh, well, I've been through this, so that's the way I am. That's the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I am how
Right,
I am.
right,
Or I act this type of way because this happened to
right,
me. But how many times are you gonna say that? How
right.
many times are you gonna be a broken record and say the same thing and not put in the work to change it?
Change.
Because to me, it's just like, don't continue to speak on that thing because you want pity, and I'm not gonna have pity for you because you're being lazy and you don't want to put in the work.
Yeah,
But when you reach, I'll say everybody reach that point to where it's either you're gonna be miserable or you're gonna be forced to make that change and do that work.
yeah,
So consider yourself a tree. A tree goes through every season of the year, every season. It does not change. The roots are still the same. You can't change what happened to you, but you can start a new foundation.
mm-hmm.
The dead roots can die off, like, and you can blossom to be this beautiful huge tree, but it's a choice.
Yeah,
That's really the root of this conversation. Even is just fatherhood is a choice. As a man, you have to choose to be a father.
yeah.
Even as a mother, like, certain mothers have detachment from their children. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it is a thing. Like, not every woman just has a child and just falls in love with it. Some women are detached from their kids, and that's from maybe childhood things or just the I want to say like the pressure and the weight that gets put on
Mm-hmm.
with being not only a mother but being a father
Yeah.
too. So you have to choose to do that every single day. But
100%. Yeah, so to all my fathers out there, much love and respect to you. You understand that you set the tone in the household, right? Whenever you see a household that's not in order, you automatically look to the father, right? You automatically look to the husband. Why? Because the father is the one that sets the tone,
mm-hmm.
right? They set the tone in the household. So, you know, fathers are, supposed to be the representation of God in the house, right? So we got our high father, right? Our spiritual father, which is God the Father. Then you have the father or the husband, and then it's the woman, right? And then right below them is the children, right? So that's the hierarchy, right? So the father is supposed to get orders from headquarters,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then once he gets those orders from headquarters, he shares those orders with his wife, right? And they establish that, in their household. They establish that order in their household.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have a huge responsibility as fathers, and if we take that responsibility serious, we can really impact society, right? It's
Yeah.
I think the reason that we live in so much chaos today, and the reason that the world is the way that it is today, is because the absence of fathers, right? If you look at the statistics of single parent homes, and you see, children that are raised in a home with just a mom, right? Just a mom by herself, and the father's not in the home. Those children usually, grow up to be menaces to society, right? And that's just the statistics, right? Like the statistics say that if you're in the house with a single mom, you're more than likely going to grow up and be a menace to society. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because the father is the one that sets the structure in the house, right? The father is the enforcer, the mother is the nurturer, right? We can't expect the mother to be the mother and the father, right?
Yeah.
It's just the respect isn't there in that aspect, right? There's some respect there, but not. It's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same when I tell my daughter to do something versus when my wife tells her to do something,
Yeah.
right? It's just not the same, right? We have two different roles. So with that being said, this wraps up our Father's Day edition of our
Yes, sir.
podcast, episode 3. We appreciate you all's support, um, and until next week.
Yeah,
All right.
tune in next week. Of course, if y'all have any suggestions as far as video deals, drop them down below. Um, Subscribe to our YouTube, follow our Spotify, our podcast, share, 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 share. Just we want to spread as much inspiration, motivation, everything to anybody one by one. We do this because it's something that we genuinely love to do. It gives us another outlet to spend time together and speak on topics that we're passionate about, that values that we, carry in our household or we operate on a day-to-day basis. So happy Father's Day to everybody out there, even
Happy
those
Father's Day.
those of you that have not been perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be faithful and consistent,
And present.
continue and continue to show up for your kids, be there for your children in every aspect, not just financially. You are a man, and you know that responsibility of providing financially is the main thing that's talked about, but being there spiritually, being there physically, and being there mentally matters. So you matter. We love
We
y'all
matter. We matter, y'all.
a lot.
We matter.
A lot. It is important for a man to be present in a child's life, regardless of how society tries to belittle that. Yeah, I need my man, and I need him to be a father to our girls, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for every single man that is out here trying, out here doing the best that you can. Happy Father's Day from the Zamat.
Let love fill your hearts, family.
Until next time, peace and
Peace.
blessings. Bye.